Right. We need some ideas for episode 48, lad. We need some topic. We need a main topic this week.
Oh, I know. Alonso doing the Indy 500 instead of the Monaco Grand Prix.
Oh, yes, that happened. I forgot all about that. Here, lad.
Yeah.
Imagine if we did the IndyCar debate show. I mean, how funny would that be? How cool would that be?
It would be good.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute. It's a good idea, that.
What?
Yeah.
What? Oh, no.
I'm gonna the Indy 500. Yes. No, Yep, I'm doing that. The Indy 500 debate show. Right. See you later, lad.
Where you go? No, I was only kidding, lad. Unbelievable. Welcome to the F1 debate show. We discuss Alonso competing in the Indy 500.
We talk about the future of Sepang and Intergalos.
He's only been out of the sport for 5 months, yet Jenson Button is set to make an immense return to Formula 1 at the Monaco Grand Prix. And you're probably thinking, why so soon, guys? Why is Jenson Button returning to Formula 1? What's happened to Fernando Alonso or Stoffel Van Dorn for that matter? Well, guys, surprisingly this week, Fernando Alonso is said that he's set to take part in the Indy 500, which has shocked a lot of fans, especially me and Lyle, with all due respect, because I was not expecting this one little bit. I mean, obviously, ever since the start of the season, Fernando Alonso's relationship with McLaren Honda has just not went to plan. He's criticised the team, he's criticised the engine, obviously criticising Honda themselves. He just hasn't been happy ever since, probably before the first race, since pre-season. So I think going to IndyCar for one race, I think this is almost like a bit of a put your foot in the water and test the water, let's say, and obviously let's just see how it goes. So obviously, why is Alonso going to IndyCar? It's a question that has been brought on a lot of Formula 1 fans' minds in the past week. Well, obviously, as like I said before, one of the main reasons is McLaren's horrible start to the season. Obviously, ever since pre-season, breakdown after breakdown, unreliability, haven't scored points. I mean, fair enough, the qualifying, it's okay for Fernando Alonso. However, the race, that's the main stage, isn't it, guys? And, that's where everything comes out of view. That's where you get the points, and it just hasn't happened for McLaren, obviously more so than Fernando Alonso. I mean, this is a guy, 35 years old, two-time world championships, 32 wins, 275 Grand Prix. I mean, and at the moment, he's just getting nowhere. He's basically like a rookie, I would say. You know what I mean? It's not in terms of like his driving style, just in terms of where he is in his position. One of the other things is, though, and just getting away from the McLaren Honda thing, is that he said that he wants to achieve the Triple Crown. Now, if you don't know what the Triple Crown is, it's basically the three main events in motorsport. You have the Monaco Grand Prix, you have the Indy 500, and you have the Le Mans 24 Hours. Now Alonso was actually tipped to participate in the Le Mans 24 Hours last season, when obviously there was a bit rumours about if he would stay with McLaren or not. Obviously, turned it down after a bit of a niggling from Mark Webber, basically saying, come and join your pal Mark Webber at Porsche or at Audi or wherever. That didn't happen. And obviously now, participating in IndyCar, he wants to go for the Triple Crown. He's already won the Monaco Grand Prix, not only once, but twice, in 2006, and a very famous race in 2007, where he was battling with a so-called Lewis Hamilton at the time. I mean, a rookie. I mean, I don't know how he's doing these days, but, a lot of people go off the radar. So obviously, Alonso going IndyCar. It has, as I said, shocked. It has shocked the paddock as well. A lot of drivers were a bit like, oh, obviously, good luck to him. We have faith in him, but some drivers were surprised. Some drivers weren't really that surprised. So a little known topic about the team that he's going to be driving with. The team he's going with is Andretti Autosport. Now you're probably thinking, I've heard that name before, Andretti. That sounds familiar. Well, obviously it has relations to Mario Andretti, the former F1 driver. It's actually run by his son, Michael Andretti, who, guys, here's a little fact for you, who actually raced for McLaren for one season in 1993 alongside the legendary Ayrton Senna. So again, he has his bits about Formula 1. He sort of knows the crack about and what's going on, but obviously has more success in IndyCar. And that type of sport or whatever. In fact, we're talking about IndyCar. We don't even know what IndyCar is, Lyle, do we? Whatever that is, I've never heard of it before in my life. Exactly. So and yes, what am I trying to say here? So McLaren participating with Andretti, merging together, both have Honda power. So Alonso is leaving Honda power to go to Honda power. That doesn't make any sense to me, guys. But apparently Honda are quite good in IndyCar, the Indianapolis 500. So, and we're full of facts in today's episode, aren't we, guys? Andretti have actually won the IndyCar 4 times. The first one being with the late Dan Weldon, who tragically lost his life in the Indy 500 a few years ago, and they actually won it last year with Alexander Rossi. Can you remember Alexander Rossi, Lyle? Can you remember him?
Vaguely.
Yeah. This F1 driver wannabe, the next Scott Speed, unfortunately didn't really live up to his name. So yes, obviously let's get the opinion of Lyle on this matter. Now, Lyle, Fernando Alonso going into IndyCar. I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm saying like he's leaving Formula One. He's not. Well, he's not really going in IndyCar. He's just competing in the Indy 500. Now, when you first heard the news, were you at all surprised, or were you a bit like, I was actually expecting this. I was expecting something like this to actually happen, you know. So tell us your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously I was expecting something like this to happen, John, but I'll tell you the guy who I was expecting it to be is Nico Hülkenberg, and really was Le Mans again for him. But no, it's great for Fernando to kind of venture out into this. I mean, yeah, you know, people might say that he's leaving McLaren for one race because they're not doing very well, but well, not really, because obviously he's going to be there for the remaining races bar one. But it just is really incredible. And obviously, as John said, he's going for the Triple Crown as well. It's an amazing sport as well, obviously, in America as well. And I was watching this video today where obviously all the other drivers were talking about, you know, what would it be great for Fernando to come over, and they were saying, yeah, it's great because we've seen loads of people doing like that, and he's going to bring loads of fans as well. So he's got loads of fans in Formula 1 as well. He's Spanish as well, so across the water in Europe, really popular, obviously, 2-time world champion. It's great, and they were saying, I mean, obviously I've forgotten the guy who was talking about it. He was wearing a Honda, he probably was from Andretti actually, wearing a Honda overall, and he was basically saying that it's like the opportunity to play, you know, football with Messi, or do something like, you know, unbelievable with one of the unbelievable legends of the sport. You know, well, actually, it doesn't even have to be football. It can be, you know, going to have a cup of coffee with Messi. It's just amazing because, you know, you get to meet this, you know, this famous person. Obviously, he was doing absolutely loads with the sport. I mean, Messi or Ronaldo or his amazing bust that everyone's seen on the internet. But you know, it really is great for the sport as well, for IndyCar, to boost their, you know, knowledge as well. It even gets them known in Formula One. But the bigger thing, though, Jordan, is it's not really the news that Fernando was going for Monaco. It's the news that somebody is coming in for Monaco.
Yes.
And, I mean, this is really exciting. It's everyone's favourite. It's Jordan's favourite. And since he announced in Italy that he was going to be coming back for odd races and stuff, and he probably would be coming back for the 2018 season, people were like, well, really? I mean, are you joking? For two reasons. One, because obviously Stoffel and Fernando look like the set to stay, especially Stoffel. But then the second thing is obviously Honda, you know, rubbish. So why would he want to come back? And anyway, it really is amazing. Obviously, that the man is JB, Jenson Button. Really fantastic for him. He's now getting back into a Formula 1 car. He knows now about a month and a half ahead, about a month and a half ahead, he knows that he's going to be in the car. Really exciting for him. He can get his training cap on back for Formula 1. He can see his old pal Felipe Massa back and get really annoyed with him for saying, well, why didn't you leave when I wanted to leave? You've kind of, you know, stood on me foot, really. The bit that, you know, reminds me of Jenson and Felipe leaving is the bit in Family Guy. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll go back to it. It's a bit where like Brian and Stewie are in this hotel room in Las Vegas, and they're both on the balcony, and they're both going to be like, right, we're going to jump at the same time. And then I think Brian and Stewie obviously holding hands and that, and then they're like 1, 2, 3, and then Brian jumps, and then Stewie like looks like he's going to jump, and then holds on the banner, and he's like, oh, I'm not going to do it, and then obviously Brian falls down, calls him a bad word, and then it just reminds us of that, because like, it's like, you know, Jenson and Felipe were like, right, we're going to retire together. Jenson goes, Felipe is like, no, I want to stay with Formula 1, and then Jenson, you know, calls him bad name.
Jumped as well.
He did? Like, oh yes, he did. So like, maybe Nico thought, I'll jump as well.
I was like, wow, I was not expecting that. So obviously, as like we said, Jenson Button coming back into race at Monaco. I don't think it was probably the news that he wanted to hear, because obviously he's left all of McLaren Honda's problems behind him. He's chilling back, kicking back, speeding in his own triathlon. I don't know what the hell that was about. So, and obviously he's probably sitting there, you know, having a cup of tea at his manor or something, and just going, "Oh, people, hello, Eric, how are you doing? Oh, I'm well. How's the kids? Brilliant. What?" That was probably the conversation. Obviously not in a Geordie accent, however in a more southern accent. But obviously you get the picture. So,
or he could have been lying on his couch at his home in Moscow, watching Game of Thrones, and then he could have been rang by Zach Brown. Hello. It's with a big decision that we're going to demote you from Red Bull to Toro Rosso. No, we're going to make you drive for Monaco. And then obviously he'll tell everyone in the news conference that he was there. But no, very exciting for him as well.
I mean, what is worse? Being told that you're being demoted from Red Bull to Toro Rosso, or being told that, right, we're going to bring you in for one race at Monaco in the McLaren Honda in 2017. You know,
I don't know. Probably
that is a pretty much, you know, judge that for yourself. But just a little bit about on IndyCar, just briefly there, because with Fernando Alonso coming into IndyCar, it's not only going to probably, you know, get him in a faster car and maybe have actually for him to win a race and a championship in 2017. It's also going to promote their sport, obviously IndyCar, Indy 500, a lot more, because a little fact that I've seen, the last year was the first ever time in the history of IndyCar, of the Indy. I keep saying IndyCar. You know, it is the same thing, but it's it is like calling F1. You know, the Monaco Grand Prix and stuff. So for the Indy 500, the first ever time since its first race back in 1936, I believe, might be earlier. I'm not too sure. I think it was 36 that it was sold out. So again, it is getting very, very popular. TV as well. They're on the rise, unlike Formula One, which is, you know, getting lower and lower. And with Fernando Alonso coming in to IndyCar, the Indy 500, sorry, I keep saying IndyCar, so apologies, guys. So, and again, that's going to boost, that is going to boost TV ratings and the popularity of the Indy 500, not only in America, but elsewhere, and perhaps maybe boost the aspects of Formula One in America. Because I think, for me, America, and let's say North America, South America, I'll probably say more North America. I think South America F1 is quite passionate, especially in Brazil. But in North America, it's not really a sport where it stands out. You know what I mean? Like when I ever think of America in terms of American sport, I think of hockey, I think of American football, I think of baseball, basketball. You don't really think of Formula One. Same with Canada. You think
and NASCAR
and whatever that is. And you think of Canada, of winter sports. You know, skiing and ice hockey and sports like that. And then when Formula One comes into town, it's like, oh, to them it's just, oh, look, Formula One's on this weekend. Whereas like to us, it's like stop what you're doing, everything, stop everything, just drop everything and go and watch Formula One. That's how we roll in the UK. So, I mean, obviously, America, it is the hardest place to try and promote Formula One, I would say. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Lyle?
Yeah. I mean, even though it's, yeah, you're right. It's getting more popular, obviously. Yeah, I mean, obviously since the Canadian Grand Prix's been in there, Lance Stroll, obviously, you know, I mean, when obviously Canada rolls by, when Canada strolls by.
Oh my word, no!
Come on, you've been dropping some bad jokes. You've been dropping some bad jokes. I'm allowed to now. Anyway, but when Canada strolls by, you know, we'll be able to, you know, see what Lance Stroll brings to the fans. I mean, we know that obviously that brings a lot. We saw that in Belgium with Max Verstappen. Belgium. I think Belgium. Do you know what? I'm going to say that now, John. I'm going to say Belgium's going to be the biggest, like, kind of fan zone and fan rivalry, almost like what you see at a derby game like Liverpool Everton, let's say, or Man City Man U, or Sunderland Newcastle. It's going to be between obviously Max Verstappen and his obviously Dutch/Belgium fans, and obviously Van Dorn's Belgium fans. So a driver does bring a lot of support into that team, into that country. But America, though, I mean, John, you've got two massive things that help America. You've got obviously Haas.
Yes.
And Liberty Media. Liberty Media now own Formula One, which obviously they kind of did obviously in last year's Grand Prix, and they do obviously when America rolls by in early November this year, or late October, I forgot, something like that. And then obviously Haas, you know, very popular, very, very popular around that track. Obviously their base is now down in Texas as well, so very popular from that. And obviously, well, now they're established in Formula One, they're not just a small lower down team, they're very much established, so they are growing. Obviously NASCAR and IndyCar, obviously the Indy 500 are still very, very much popular, but Formula One is getting there, and no, I'm incredibly happy because Formula One's now a worldwide sport. You know, when you look at things like, I mean, for example, let's use like football, for example. Obviously, European football, obviously a lot of countries play it, as you know. It's called football. The World Cup is the biggest event on the globe, along with the Olympics as well. Obviously, in places like obviously in the Americas, in Australia, which I only recently learned they call soccer. Places like what they refer to as European football. It's not as popular down there, but Formula One is now, it's popular everywhere. You can go to like remote countries in like you can go to in like the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You can go to remote countries and you go Formula One. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Oh yeah, Jenson Button and that, Michael Schumacher and that, but you're like, oh, I'm close, but I'll give you that.
Exactly.
At least I know what they're talking about.
So, just obviously, last word on this topic, Lyle. I want to say before we close up this segment, I want to say, just briefly what I said before about the popularity of the Indy 500, IndyCar, as a sport across the world, America and across the world, getting more popular, and obviously being a little bit more popular now with Fernando Alonso getting all the media attention, but. Not only for that, Formula One in general in America. I mean, we've conquered the world at the moment. It's just America that we need to conquer. And now, obviously, with Alonso going there, I think probably maybe a couple of Spanish TV programs, sports channels, Sky Sports might show it with Alonso being in it. I'm not possibly. Too sure. Obviously, it is after the Spanish Grand Prix. It is in between the Spanish and the Monaco Grand Prix, I believe. So maybe Sky Sports might show it. So do you think this is good for both parties? Obviously, let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Is this good or bad for both IndyCar and Formula One with Alonso going to the Indy 500? So what is your take on that, Lyle? Do you think this is good? Do you think this is helping both parties? Or do you think this is helping one more than the other?
I think they're both helping each other. You're right. I think both of them are helping each other. But the thing, I mean, I've forgotten that guy's name. I should have really got it. Preparation, good on the F1 debate show. It's not really one guy. It's just IndyCar, as a whole. They're saying that working with Fernando Alonso is working with the greats. Like, that's why I use that analogy with Messi and that. They're working with the great. It really is fantastic. It's like when Hülkenberg obviously went to Le Mans, went to Porsche, things like that. It's fantastic. It also actually opens up the door for things like this kind of trading. You know what I mean? Because obviously, like NASCAR drivers. Again, that they've said that NASCAR drivers could come to IndyCar, and that's what happened before. Obviously, a lot of them have done trade-offs and things like that. We've seen obviously other drivers in the past go to different motor disciplines. I mean, even from like cars to bikes, we've seen that in the past. That could even open the door to like a NASCAR driver, let's say, moving to a Formula One team and vice versa. And it's amazing how Formula One's grouped the whole world together. But no, I think both parties are going to love this new venture. You're right, Spanish TV might show it. Yeah, you're right, it's going to get more popular. But IndyCar, it's really going to help them because they're going to be like, well, we have we are now working with one of the best drivers in the world. He's not just a Formula One driver anymore, Fernando Alonso. He's like a pinnacle of driving. He's an ambassador for Spain and for Europe and really for just one of the best ever. I think you say his name anywhere. A bit like when I talk about that those remote countries in the Pacific Ocean. You even mention Fernando Alonso's name there, John, and they'll know who you mean. And it's amazing. It definitely will help. Both of them everywhere, but I'm so excited to see what happens. I mean, we loved it when Nico went. Obviously, when he was absent for the to do the Le Mans 24 hours, we loved that. And obviously, he came back. He was a much stronger, much happier Nico. He'd been in both disciplines, which obviously was just amazing. We don't see that much. And him going to IndyCars is Fernando going to IndyCars is just absolutely amazing for the sport. I mean, don't you agree? Do you think it's? Yeah. Do you think so? IndyCar will look at this and think they are working with one of the greats, and I think that'll they get them really excited that they're working with basically one of the best drivers in the world, and as I say, an ambassador for Spain, for Europe, and basically for Formula One.
Exactly. I would say like Alonso is one of the best drivers that Formula One has ever had. We've quoted it. I think we've actually spoke about McLaren or on the McLaren topic for the past 5 episodes. So I think we've pretty much had our say on McLaren as a whole. Obviously not as much on the two drivers, but yes, we have said before that Fernando Alonso, in my opinion, probably Lars' opinion as well, is one of the best drivers that F1 has ever had. Even Lewis Hamilton in the press conference said that Alonso, in terms of managing tyres, managing fuel, when to push the car, when not to push the car, he's the best at doing that. And obviously we've seen it as well, especially some of his starts as well. Let's not forget about his start. Obviously, let's hope he can actually do that and win the Indy 500. I will be backing Alonso all the way. And obviously, with them saying about working with one of the best drivers in the world, they are totally right. They have chosen the right person to do that. But obviously, with Alonso having not so much Alonso, but McLaren in a bit had connections with Verizon, who I think that's how you pronounce the name, which is like Vodafone, which used to sponsor McLaren back in 2012 or 2013. So again, there's a little bit of relation. Honda, who also work alongside IndyCar, have relation to there. Zach Brown, America, again, as I said, Haas, Liberty Media, all American connections obviously made this possible for Alonso. I hope he does well. Best luck to Alonso. We'll try and sort of update you guys on how he's doing during the race. Maybe if we can try and see if we can stream it or whatever, or try and watch one way or another. Try and keep you guys informed, and then we'll definitely make it a topic in one debate show once the race has happened. So yeah, obviously, guys, as ever, let us know your opinions on this subject. Is this a good idea that Alonso has is going to participate in the Indy 500, and will this actually make him and McLaren a more of a solid item?
But we're going to see JB back in the sport for one race, which is absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you something as well, just quickly, one last time. I hope that this doesn't take fans away from Formula 1. So if you're a Fernando fan, please stick around. Because, he will be back for Canada.
Oh, yes, he will.
And we need you on. And we need you on this side. I mean, technically, trust us, as Jordan said, every single video has been about McLaren. McLaren need all the help they can get. And I'll tell you something, one or two more fans, they definitely need that help.
Right.
So stick with McLaren. Please don't go, somewhere else. But yeah, all the best, Fernando. And we're just so excited to see Jenson back in Formula 1.
Certainly are. Yes, boys. There we go.
Formula 1 is definitely shown to be a popular sport. I mean, every single country wants to be on the calendar. Anyway, 2018, I mean, there's a massive fight on who gets those spots. The one that hasn't made it is, unfortunately, Malaysia. They have ended a 19-year run in Formula 1. The 2017 Malaysian Grand Prix will go ahead after Japan later this year, but unfortunately it will not continue in 2018, which is quite sad, to be honest. The Sepang International Circuit, I mean, it's done really well. It's been quite popular anyway, so the decision was made by the commercial boss of Formula 1 alongside Liberty Media. His name is Sean Bratches. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. He has basically given the elbow to Malaysia, saying that it was sad to say goodbye to a member of the Formula 1 family, but the costs of running the track were very, very, very high. Now, basically what was happening is, for the past few years, the ticket price has been much less, almost half less of what the actual cost was to make the track feasible, pay for all the stewards and things like that, and it just really is upsetting. The other reason as well is obviously that French Grand Prix at the Paul Ricard Circuit will be making a comeback, and also the Hockenheim Ring in Germany will be making a comeback. Obviously the French Grand Prix making a return after 2 decades out, and obviously since it was dropped in 2017, the German Grand Prix will be making its way back. It will still be used, the Sepang International Circuit will still be used for the GP, for the MotoGP races, which obviously will still be good. To be honest, that's probably more of the popular use of Sepang. It's very popular. The race, obviously, at Sepang, it's one of their biggest races, obviously, along with things like the Doha in Qatar and things like that. So it's used very highly for that, and it's very popular around that. Yeah. But unfortunately, Sepang just isn't cutting it right for Formula 1. I mean, it had some great races in the past there. The last race, which was fantastic there, was obviously 2012. The rain-out race, obviously the 4-hour race, almost as long as obviously the Canada 2011. Loads of safety cars, loads of red flags, and obviously the amazing battles we had, and then obviously Sergio Perez's almost first win in Formula 1 with obviously Sauber. That was class. We had Multi-21 in 2013. We had obviously Hamilton's Fire last year, Red Bull's Multi-21 the clean way, as we said, the way that it should have gone. So it's been an absolutely amazing circuit. Yes. Obviously, unfortunately, it has got to go. It's a real shame that. I mean, it was doing really, really well, bringing in the funds until around 2008, and basically it said that they lost almost a third of their fans because 2008 is when the Singapore Grand Prix came into play. Now, basically, for the neighbouring countries around Malaysia who wanted to go and visit the track, I mean, obviously they had Shanghai, they had Suzuka, but if that was too far, they go to Malaysia. Now, as soon as Singapore came in, the nice glitz and glamour, the first night race that we had in Formula 1, it took loads of fans away, as I say, almost a third. So 2007, they saw a lot more fans. It was almost bursting. It was booked, 10 times over. It was really, really popular, and obviously as soon as Singapore came, a lot of fans decided to go there. as saying that it's always been on an unfortunate like losing money. I mean, not so much, but unfortunately for next year they basically said that they just kind of keep going with the track, with the maintenance and things like that, and the price any longer, which is a very shame. As I said, they've had some great races there, and it was done. The decision was done with the Malaysian government, obviously the governing bodies of the Sepang International Circuit, Malaysian Motorsport, along with Liberty Media, the FIA, and the FOM. They all came together and made this decision. But obviously the FIA were definitely behind, obviously, that basically the calendar would be, let's say, I don't know, about 23 races, obviously with the German Grand Prix and the French Grand Prix in. And the French Grand Prix was definitely one that they didn't want to drop, because that's bringing so much funding into it. If they, I mean, the German Grand Prix was always debatable, but if the French Grand Prix was to be, like said, you kind of come back in, that was going to be absolutely massive for the sport. And obviously there's so much French backing as well. The FIA is French. Some people say that that France invented Formula One, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe not.
Motorsport came from France, however, probably Britain rather.
Yeah, England
sort of took it up to where it is today, I would say.
Britannia rules the wave with the waves, of course. But anyway, I mean, there's loads of batting in France. It's not really great for Formula One to see that go. I mean, 19 years is fantastic. We've seen some unbelievable drives. In 2002, this is where Fernando Alonso made his debut in Malaysia. It was absolutely unbelievable. We've seen some great drives by Michael Schumacher. It is great, and it's just another early race that the passionate Formula One fans like Jordan and me get up for on the morning. So I mean, it's very sad to hear about that Malaysia's going, isn't it, Jordan? It's just another race. We have. I mean, do you know what I remember? In 2012, we had 3 races on the bounce that were like. I mean, obviously, Malaysia was back in February. We had 3 races on the bounce that were in the Far East. In October, we had Japan, South Korea, and India. And I loved getting up for those 3. We did that in the bounce as well, which is great. Early morning after early morning after early morning, 3 weekends in a row. And again, last year as well, we had Japan, and then we had Malaysia as well, 2 early morning weekends. Like we said, for Australia as well, it's just great to get up for those weekends. You don't feel tired at all. You feel like you're a proper Formula One fan. So it is sad to see Sepang go. I mean, we've had some great battles there. Multi 21, the right way. Checo's almost first win. I mean, Schumacher's days, Alonso's days. It's sad to see that circuit go, and it's also sad to see what the circuit goes. Obviously, that we're going to be losing fans in Malaysia as well, and also what's been on the track, what's raced on the track. Some of these amazing races and battles and. Bits of debris left from Hamilton's 2016 Mercedes. It's just a shame, isn't it? It really is a shame. It's just another member. It's a bit like what Sean said. It's another member of the Formula One family that unfortunately has to leave.
Well, I mean, for Malaysia, right? I mean, as like you said, it's been on the calendar since what, 1998, 1999. So obviously, it has established itself as a regular, sort of almost a classic F1 circuit. But the problem is that what Lyle was talking about and what other people have been talking about this week is that places around it, such as Abu Dhabi, Singapore, as Lyle would say, the more glamorous cities where people are like, oh, I'd rather go there, and obviously that's just sort of took everything away from the Malaysian Grand Prix, obviously the Malaysian place itself as well. I mean, don't get us wrong, it is a lovely city, Kuala Lumpur as well, the Petronas Towers as well. I mean, to be fair, maybe even Mercedes might be affected by that, because a lot of Petronas is from Mercedes, so maybe, something could maybe not go right there. I don't know, but no. When I heard this news, I was very disappointed. I was aware that it was going to actually go. I just didn't know when. I didn't know how or whatever. But I mean, bringing in the French Grand Prix back next year and the German Grand Prix, that for me, I would rather have them too. And also as well, guys, this is what I heard in the last couple of days, is that apparently the Turkish Grand Prix is set to be added to the 2018 calendar, but after a couple of changes as well. So that's 3 European races coming in, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, and getting rid of the Malaysian Grand Prix, which, let's face it, it is a nice circuit, but it is sort of outdated now, I would say. It's not really technical anymore. It's not really one where like people really want to go to now, as I said before, because obviously they want to go elsewhere. Tickets as well. I mean, yes, tickets are cheap, but obviously you're not going to fund marshalling, you're not going to fund security, you're not going to fund anything like that. So again, it is sad, but at the same time, I am happy that the German Grand Prix is coming back. That's what obviously Sebastian Vettel wanted. That's what F1 fans wanted. We wanted the Grand Prix back in Germany. But if you do go ahead and go back to Germany, I want the fans to show up, because if you remember what we seen in 2016, horrible. Absolute. Was it 2016? It was 2016, wasn't it? Absolutely horrible. I mean, there was no fans there hardly. It was like, come on, guys, where is that?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, because the Hockenheim
Exactly.
ring, they boarded up like over turn one. I remember because in Saturday qualifying it was empty, and then in the Sunday they decided to put Rolex boards in front of it just to kind of mimic the effect of people, you know, sitting there. It's a bit like the one, a bit like the grandstand in China. Yeah. I can't remember the turn name, but it's that one obviously like the loop that goes onto obviously the 1.2 kilometre straight. That used to be a grandstand, and since probably about 2006 it's been boarded up because it's just pointless.
I mean, it is bad, but obviously the funny thing is, obviously when Bernie Ecclestone was in charge, he said that he wanted to get rid of the European, not so much get rid of them, but sort of reduce them, and excuse me, and sort of go off towards the Far East, Middle East, America, and stuff, and sort of broad out that way. Yeah. So he's getting rid of. So well, obviously, I know Bernie's not in charge, but obviously this would have happened roughly when Bernie was in charge, and getting rid of the Malaysian Grand Prix, and then bringing in Turkey, France, and Germany. That doesn't make any sense to me, guys. But I'm, as a fan, I'm happy that them two Grand Prix are back. You know, the classics. But to make the German Grand Prix a classic, you've got to put it back at the Nürburgring, haven't you, lad? But not the miniature one, the full one, the 15-mile one.
That would be amazing.
How cool would that be?
I mean, I've got to say, do you know what I mean? I mean, we've seen weird things happen in Formula One before. So to be honest, that kind of statement isn't really stupid. Yeah. It will be amazing. It's just I think they'll have to use the noggin about what happens, especially pitting. Because I'll tell you something. Obviously, say if your tyres die on lap one, that might be you have a puncture. Oh God, if you have a puncture on lap one, you'll come back and then
just first got to have a puncture. That's it.
You'll just be the car will just be like there'll be like half a car left. You'll have just shredded it all on the floor.
Walking back to the paddock by like turn 55 or something.
Or halfway through, you'll walk back and it'll be the end of the race. But anyway, no, it would be fantastic. But no, unfortunately, that is gone. Anyway, just very quickly, we need to mention that obviously John quickly just mentioned Bernie Ecclestone. Anyway, he's not in charge of Formula One anymore, as we all know. He is just wandering the seven seas, just waiting for a job.
He doesn't need one.
Billboards and he's just not. Because he lives in Brazil, which is definitely a link to what I'm going to say next, which is the Intergallo circuit, which he's been very, very close to. Basically, he might buy that. It might be the Bernie Ecclestone Brazilian Grand Prix or the Bernie Intergallo circuit or whatever you want to call it. But he's about last week he was in talk with the mayor, who her name is Juan Dorita. Hopefully, I've pronounced that right. The spelling is definitely down there if you want to have another go at it. Basically, he's been talking, and basically he wants to buy the circuit. Anyway, it's on the calendar till 2020, but the Brazilian government, the São Paulo government, want it on the calendar till 2030. And basically, Bernie Ecclestone might buy it. He's got a very love for Intergallos. He loves Brazil. He loves São Paulo. They have a Brazilian farm over there that they run, which is quite funny. You can imagine a guy, the little guy, making coffee beans and whatnot. Yeah. It's quite amusing. He did an interview with Martin Brundle, about last year, but he's driving a golf cart and he can hardly see over it. He's the same height as the steering wheel. It made you laugh. It makes you laugh. A bit like John driving, just a little man behind the wheel, and compared to me, anyway. But no, it's anyway. So he wants to buy the. There's not much news about that. That was just the last thing to mention. But obviously, he is very much in the in the limelight to buy the Intergallo circuit. I mean, as John just mentioned there quickly, he definitely has the money. He wants to be in Formula One as well, and he's also been he hasn't been taught into Liberty Media, but there definitely is kind of still a Liberty Media Bernie Ecclestone relationship. And I think that in a few years' time, we could see Bernie Ecclestone back in Formula One, doing whatever. He might just be sweeping the floors. He might just be in the accounting office, but I think he will definitely be back in Formula 1 in some way, shape or form.
That he could be right here.
Oh yeah, of course, BE. That would be him. We can get rid of JT as he was called originally, but Bernie in Formula 1, Bernie owning the Brazilian Grand Prix. What do you think of that, John?
Well, I don't know how dare you were actually trying to get rid of me. You'd be lost without me, wouldn't you guys? But I mean, the Brazilian Grand Prix recently has been under a bit of criticism, I would say, because of Obviously, one, how short it is, because you can get around it in like 1 minute 10. Obviously, the shortest time I think around the obviously around the track out the entire F1 calendar, obviously modern calendar, and obviously in the past as well. And also as well that it needs updating in terms of the stands, in terms of the track. I mean, they changed the pit lane. Was it 2014? I think they changed it. Was it 2015? I think it was around that point where they changed the entry to the pit lane to make it obviously more safer when cars coming in, because they will literally go into the pit at about 180 mile an hour on a curve, whereas like obviously now that they've got a bit of a chicane to slow them down, obviously for health and safety reasons. But I remember hearing that Bernie was actually going to try and get rid of it, because obviously it would have cost too much to actually try and revamp it, I would say. And obviously around it as well, I think you've got some like private land or something like that where like they can't really extend as much. So obviously you've got like houses, haven't you? Obviously you can see it on the skyline on the TV cameras. You can see the flats, you can see the streets and everything. So obviously you can't really extend the track as much. So you've got to do the best you can with the room you've got. And to be fair, in my opinion, the fans at Brazil are brilliant. One of the most passionate ever. The track for me, I'm not a big fan of it. Whether I'm watching the Grand Prix, whether I'm driving it on the game, I'm not a huge fan of it. So if it goes, I'll be gutted. Obviously, I'm not talking about if it was going, but let's say one day it does. Let's say Bernie doesn't buy it and no one else can actually afford to keep it running after 2020, and the FIA say, right, or the FOM say, right, we're not going to renew this contract, and it goes. For me, I'll be absolutely gutted that the fans, obviously, we won't see them. However, that could also then start another debate by saying, should there be a Brazilian Grand Prix because of the legacy Brazilian drivers have in Formula One? Obviously, more noticeably, Ayrton Senna. So if we were to get rid of the Brazilian Grand Prix, we've then just erased Ayrton Senna out of our minds, haven't we? Allegedly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have a massive legacy in Brazil. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching this show. Make sure to like and subscribe the videos. And until next time, guys, see you later,
guys.